Every great product, every massive company out there started with the exact same fundamental challenge. How do you get that very first user? It's the essential and, let's be honest, often painful first step. So let's dive in and unpack a surprisingly counterintuitive guide to cracking this universal problem.
So, let's get right to it. How do you get a new product off the ground? More importantly, where do those first crucial, real users actually come from?
Right. This whole thing is what people in the business call the first user problem. And honestly, it's a way tougher nut to crack than you might think, mainly because it bumps right up against basic human nature.
Okay, here's a quick reality check. The vast majority of people are just not early adopters. I mean, think about it for a second. Be honest with yourself. How many products that you use every single day were you one of the first 10 people to ever use? Yeah, for pretty much all of us, the answer is a big fat zero.
And this quote just nails it. There's this natural resistance we all have to being the guinea pig. We're all wired to look for social proof, right? We want to see that other people are using it, that it's safe, that it actually works before we jump in. So asking someone to be the very first to take that leap of faith, that's a huge ask.
So this is the big mindset shift you have to make. Getting your first users is not a problem of persuasion. It's a problem of searching. You're not trying to convince the masses. You are on a hunt for very specific kinds of people.
And really, you're looking for just two types of people. First, you've got your Gustav type. This is the natural early adopter, the person who just genuinely loves trying new stuff for the fun of it. And then second, you have the Ankit. This is the person with a problem so painful, so immediate, that they will try literally anything that even hints at a solution, no matter how new or unproven it is.
Now, we've all been drilled on the whole minimum viable product concept, the MVP. It's Startup 101. But for this initial search we're talking about, maybe that's not quite the right frame. We need something a little different, something more alive.
And that's where this idea of a minimum evolvable product, or MEP, comes in. What's so cool about this is the shift in focus. It's not just about being viable, good enough. It's about being able to survive that initial crash test with real users. And, this is the key part, being built to evolve and adapt super fast based on what they tell you.
Okay, that's the theory, but how do you actually do this search? Well, there's a playbook for it, and it's built on 5 rules that are, they're pretty counterintuitive. Okay, here they are, quick and dirty. 1. Charge real money early. 2. Use targeted personal outreach. 3. Launch early. 4. Study your users like crazy. And 5. Experiment fast and don't be afraid to lose people. All right, let's unpack each one.
All right, rule number 1. This one feels so wrong to so many founders, but it is absolutely crucial. You have to charge real money right from the get-go. And look, the point isn't to make a bunch of money. Not yet. It's all about the quality of the feedback. Someone who pays you gives you brutally honest, super sharp feedback that free users just don't.
Rule 2. Do things that don't scale. That's actually the whole point. You're not buying ads on a billboard. You're in the trenches, sending super personal, targeted cold emails. You're doing the gritty, direct work to find those Gustavs and Ankits one by one.
Next up, number 3, and this is straight out of the Y Combinator playbook. Launch early, like probably way earlier than you're comfortable with. Why? Because in the beginning, you're basically guessing who your first users are. By launching quickly, you create this big surface area for luck to strike, making it much more likely that those rare birds will actually stumble across you.
Okay, so once you find a few of these people, Rule 4 kicks in, and this one is huge. You have to study them with an almost obsessive intensity. I love this analogy. You need to be like an anthropologist who just stumbled upon a lost tribe. What makes them tick? Why on earth did they trust you, a total unknown? Your job is to understand their entire world. And finally, Rule 5. You got to use your small size as a superpower. Experiment like a mad scientist. Change the pricing, rip out features, try anything and everything. And if a user gets mad and leaves, it's okay. You're not fighting bad press. You're fighting being ignored completely. A big, established company is terrified of breaking things. You have to.
Now, this isn't just some abstract theory. This stuff has massive real-world consequences. The first users you get, they don't just give you feedback. They literally set your product's DNA for years to come. And there's no better case study for this in action than Tesla.
To really get this, let's think about it like biology. A startup is like an evolutionary tree.
It starts out as the simple little amoeba. That's your minimum evolvable product. And then, based on the pressures from its environment, user feedback and market demands, it slowly evolves into something way more complex, like a human.
So what was Tesla's Amoeba? It was the original Roadster. And that price tag? 150 grand? Wow. That wasn't just a price, it was a filter. It was basically a search algorithm designed to find a very, very specific person. Someone rich, obsessed with new tech, and, critically, willing to put up with a lot of bugs and imperfections.
And here's the key concept. Product evolution is what's called path-dependent. All that means is that the things your very first users care about, that sets your product on a path. It creates a kind of momentum that's really, really hard to change down the road.
And Tesla is the perfect example of this path. Those first Roadster buyers, they were obsessed with insane acceleration and bleeding-edge tech. What they didn't care about so much were things like, a comfortable ride. So what's the result years later? The mass-market Model Y has acceleration that can beat a Lamborghini, but reviewers constantly say the suspension feels worse than a basic Toyota. That, right there, is path dependency.
I mean, seriously, think about it. If you sat down with a blank sheet of paper to design a family SUV for the average person, would you make a sub-3-second 0 to 60 time a top priority? No way. Of course not. But for Tesla, it's a direct evolutionary fossil from that initial search algorithm they ran with their first users.
Okay, let's bring it all together and get to the big takeaway. The most important thing to remember is that mental shift we talked about. It's moving from building a minimum viable product to building a minimum evolvable product.
So, just to recap the big ideas one last time. 1. Finding users is a search, not persuasion. 2. Build a minimum evolvable product, not just a viable one. 3. Your first users literally define your product's DNA. And 4. Use that counterintuitive 5-rule playbook to run your search.
And that leaves us with a pretty heavy final thought, doesn't it? The entire future of your product, everything it will be good at, and everything it will be bad at, is a direct echo of those first few people you let in the door. So the real question isn't just how to find users, it's who will you choose?